now I do this. Okay, call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may have noticed I am not Mayor Jacobson, he's excused, but that sounds like school. He is not available this evening, and so I am sitting in for the meeting. And so we called it to order already. Did the Pledge of Allegiance, and now roll call of council members, and everyone is present. And now ceremonies, announcements, appointments and presentation, announcements. A portion of the Centennial Trail between Spokane Street and McGuire will be closed March 13th through the 16th. And there'll be a detour in place along Celtice Way. And daylight savings time is this weekend. Don't forget to spring forward. It is getting light earlier and staying light. And I think this might be a place for the announcement. We have a presentation this evening, but even though Mayor Jacobson isn't here, I would like to congratulate him. He was named Post Falls Citizen of the Year last week, which is a great honor and well-deserved. So congratulations to him. And now we have the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency Annual Report for 2022. Joe Johns, Director of the Urban Renewal Agency.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me find this here and get it started up. All right. Council members, thank you for the opportunity to present the 2022 Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency's annual report. This annual report is required. Let me make sure. There we go. Okay, this annual report is required under Idaho Code 50-20 of Urban Renewal Law. The purpose is to report activities of the preceding calendar year to the City Council by the end of this month. Our agency was created in 1991. 2022 officers were Jerry Baltzell as chairman, Jamie Davis as vice chair, and Lynn Crosby as treasurer. The Commission meets monthly on the third Thursday of each month here in City Hall, the council chambers. And most of the agency's activities fall under one of three committees: the Finance and Policy Committee, District Review Committee, or Communication, Property, and Personnel Committee. And workshops are scheduled on an as-needed basis. The mission statement of the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency, is to encourage sound economic and community improvement that enhances the overall quality of life in Post Falls, providing and improving infrastructure, attracting jobs, and enhancing citizen safety and health. Here's a map showing the names and locations of our Post Falls urban renewal districts. The Center Point and East Post Falls districts, which are noted with red labels, are our 6th and 7th districts to close, with final tax year 2022 remittances anticipated through August of this year. It's important to understand that district proponents build public infrastructure and pay for it up front. The risk lies solely on them to bring in new businesses and expand the community's tax base, which results in additional property value and tax increment, which is collected by the county and remitted on a monthly basis to the agency, and then we reimburse the proponent for approved expenses semi-annually in February and August. The Center Point Urban Renewal District, which we just closed, was formed in 2002 under the competitively disadvantaged border community designation. It's located immediately north of I-90 and south of state line, southeast of state line. I'm sorry, these slides are maybe a little small to see, but The district initially consisted of 287 acres, as shown on the boundary depiction in the upper left corner. Note the existence of Cisco, the first occupant of the district, and also note the volume of undeveloped land. Then moving clockwise around the screen, the district plan was amended in 2005, adding the 48-acre State Line Business Park development along Southeast Way. And the resulting revised district area of 335 acres is shown in the lower right pane. And in the lower left pane, the 2022 aerial imagery is showing the increased development and improved transportation infrastructure within the district. Of course, what you can't see is the improved water and sewer infrastructure below the ground. The amount of approved infrastructure that has been dedicated to the city totals just under $12 million. The agency's final reimbursement payment will occur this August with no projected surplus increment remaining. It's estimated that approximately $300,000 will not be reimbursed to the proponent for constructed infrastructure. According to the district plan, the major goals of the district were to stimulate industrial expansion in this area of the city, enhance development of industrial and manufacturing, improve public infrastructure and facilities and transportation routes, and provide the residents of Post Falls with industrial and manufacturing opportunities. When the district was formed, the base value was just under $1.4 million. The latest property value information from Kootenai County has taxable value of the property in the district of over $117 million. That is an 8,300% increase in value. Tax increment that was originally several $100s a year is now over $600,000 annually, which now returns to the budgeting authority of the underlying tax entities listed here, and will be available every year going forward. Continued growth and development after the close of the district can be expected to increase tax revenue possibilities as the tax base grows and into the future for these districts as well. Infrastructure development projects carried out in the district include the extension and improvement of water, sewer, and public utilities, including a large water storage facility or standpipe, together with several sewer lift stations, all of which support major commercial and industrial development in the district and increased capacity throughout the western portion of the city. Interior arterials and circulation streets, traffic signals, gutters, sidewalks, and frontage improvements. And then the agency also participated with the 2013 STAR legislation, which led to the Beck Road I-90 interchange, all of which have led to the development of industry and commerce. The district has become home to Cisco, Walmart, Cabela's, United Parcel Service, and numerous other local businesses and service providers, resulting in local economic diversification, new jobs, and increased services and opportunities for the residents of Post Falls and the broader area. The second of our recently closed districts is the East Post Falls District. It's located along the north-south axis of Highway 41 and the east-west axis of Southeast Way is shown here. The initial formation of the district in 2002 was only for the southern portion of the district. It consisted of approximately 450 acres and was generally bounded by Greens Ferry Road to the west, Mullen Avenue and 12th Avenue to the north, 3rd Avenue on the south, and Cedar Street to the east. The district plan was amended in 2005, extending the term of the district and expanding the boundary mostly northward along Highway 41. The district was further specified as having 3 distinct sub-areas: the north area, central, and the south area, and a total of 972 acres. According to the district plan, the major goals were an improved environment for new commercial and mixed-use developments, to eliminate unsafe conditions, assist with potential owner participation, as well as other developers to create appropriate development sites, improve transit and transportation opportunities, and prevent the extension of existing blight and reverse the deteriorating action of the area. When the district was formed in 2002, the base value was $62.4 million. The base valuation was revised to $68.8 million in 2005 when the plan was amended. The latest property valuation information has a taxable property value of over $689 million, a 1,105% increase in value. Tax increment that was originally $35,000 a year is now over $3.5 million a year annually, which returns to the budgeting authority of these underlying taxing districts, and will again be available every year going forward. Continued development after the close can be expected to increase tax revenue possibilities into the future for these taxing districts. Tax increment funded public infrastructure projects to date total $32.5 million, and additionally $5.4 million was rebated to taxing authorities in 2009 and 2012 when the agency did not have project reimbursement obligations in the district. An estimated $1.3 million will be returned to taxing entities later this year after all remaining approved reimbursement obligations have been met. And here's a few slides showing some of the public infrastructure projects utilizing tax increment funds. We have the Greens Ferry Overpass, Spencer Street, Highway 41 pedestrian trail. And over the past several years, the 12th Avenue Sewer EQ and Lift Station, Highway 41 water and sewer upsizing, as well as a few of the most recent projects, which would be the Cecil and Mullen intersection improvements, Cecil and Poline roundabout, Highway 41 traffic signals at 16th Avenue and Poline Avenue. These completed public infrastructure projects have contributed toward meeting the goals of the East Post Falls Urban Renewal District by enhancing transportation circulation, expanding opportunities for commercial frontage development along Highway 41, and improving public safety and emergency response capabilities within the district and surrounding areas. These achievements in turn have encouraged and assisted the development and attraction of new businesses within the area. Go through a series of slides here showing the contrasting images from 2005 and 2022. This is the northern portion, or Tullamore portion. Here's the central portion of the district as it existed in 2005 and 2022. Here's the southern portion of the district as it existed in 2005 and 2022 on the bottom. This information is also available if you want to go back at a later time and look through our website, through looking at the annual report. So if you want to take a closer look at those images, they're available there. As well as there's a hard copy with the city clerk. This slide shows the total approved infrastructure costs in each district and the remaining obligation in each district as of December 31st, 2022. Center Point and East Post Falls closed in December. Final reimbursement of the obligation balances in these two districts will be based on available tax year 2022 increment taxes that are remitted from the county during the balance of this year. This slide shows a 3-year comparison of tax increment received by each district. The overall increment in 2022 increased 10.5% over 2021. And as we cycle through the next 3 years, the districts above the heavy black line will be rolling off of this chart, and we can expect to see the tax increment for the 3 districts below the line increasing as development occurs to expand the property tax base. Once a proponent completes public improvements and they're dedicated to city, they become eligible for construction cost reimbursement and are approved by the agency and added to their obligations. The agency reviewed and approved 2 orders of approval in 2022 for public projects totaling over $4.2 million. And here will be a few highlights between fiscal years 2021 and 22 for the agency. Our increment revenue increased as new development within our URDs came onto the rolls. Interest revenue increased with changing interest rates. Cash increased as prior reimbursement obligations were fully paid and district fund balances grew. Our liabilities zeroed out with the early payoff of long-term debt associated with the Greens Ferry overpass at the end of 2021 for a savings of $51,000 in interest. Proponent obligations decreased due to payments made to districts for approved public infrastructure projects. And our actual operating expenses increased from the prior year, but that's largely due to some payroll expenses associated of having 2 full-time staff members during the first quarter of fiscal year 2022. It's my training period. Some of our 2022 projects, $1.8 million of urban renewal tax increment funds were applied toward the completion of the sewer projects along Highway 41 and on 12th Avenue. $2.1 million of urban renewal tax increment funds went toward the completion of Cecil Road intersection projects and 2 of the Highway 41 traffic signal installations. And the approval of reimbursements for extended public infrastructure in the East Post Falls North area, including underground infrastructure providing for commercial frontage development opportunities along Highway 41. And additional public infrastructure in the Center Point district. While the Expo District plan expired in November 2021, the agency's final remaining obligation for approved public infrastructure improvements in the district was paid in August of 2022. An unanticipated tax increment fund balance of $14,496 was rebated to the underlying tax authorities in September of 2022. As districts close, this table shows projected amounts that will go back to the taxing entities and the taxpayer. As you can see from this slide, when the Urban Renewal Agency has completed our job, a huge amount of the new development tax increment will be returned to the taxing entities and the taxpayers, not only the year the district closes, but every year in the future. This is a huge benefit to each of the taxing entities and each and every taxpayer. A total of $3.6 million that may afford our elected officials and city, county leaders to explore fiscal, budgetary options and/or reductions. Now I'd like to acknowledge the City of Post Falls staff and administration for their dedicated work and cooperation with the agency on the projects this year. We had Highway 41 and sewer projects in the East Post Falls District, Cecil and Moline and Cecil and Poline intersection improvements, and the Ballway extensions and Beck Road in Center Point District. Of particular note, the Cecil intersection improvements and the Center Point infrastructure both had challenging deadline requirements, and the city staff did an outstanding job communicating the progress of that and coordinating with the agency and making sure that those projects were approved in a manner that afforded us to be able to reimburse the proponent for those public infrastructure costs. Just to close, the agency's 6th and 7th URD closures, East Post Falls and Center Point, are in process. Urban renewal and tax increment financing are among the most significant tools available for economic development and attracting businesses, promoting job creation, and encouraging development of blighted and underutilized areas. And with that, I'd like to, on behalf of the commission, thank you and thank the mayor, and even with his absence, for your willingness to work in partnership with the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency and its commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for your contributions during the workshop
Oh,
that we had prior. It was nice having you there.
I appreciate
Anybody have
it.
any questions for Joe?
Great report, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Shelley, are there amendments to the agenda?
There are none tonight.
Declaration of conflict, ex parte contacts, or site visits? We're all good? Okay, and now you're going to read the consent calendar.
Item A is minutes from the February 21st, 2023 City Council meeting. Item B is payables February 14th through February 27th, 2023. Item C is school resource officer's contract with the Post Falls School District. Item D is acceptance of property, quitclaim deed for 4th Avenue / Idaho Street intersection. And item E is Boyd's Landing subdivision construction improvement agreement.
Any questions?
I would
Anybody?
move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Oh. Shannon is going to take the roll.
Shows,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye. Okay, and now we have one public hearing, and that is the fiscal year 2023 budget amendment 2. And is this where I ask if anyone, he's going to present,
Got to open it.
and then I will ask you if anyone is going to
You
speak.
get to bang the gavel.
Oh, and I'm going to open the public hearing.
Yeah, please do. I don't have to repeat it.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. All right. This is the second amendment to the budget I'm going to bring forward for this year. These are also items that we were unable to purchase in 2022, so I want to be able to purchase them in 2023. 5 of these items belong to parks, and one is a street project that didn't get off the ground last year, but we are looking forward to doing it this year. Forgive me for the dollar amounts, but I'm going to read the dollar amounts since this is a public hearing. I gave most of them in the council packet, but I just want to make sure that they're available again. Crown Point regrading, that's going to be $212,594. Equipment bays at the 3rd Avenue Park Shop, that's going to be $159,079. There is 2 3/4-ton trucks for the parks, both for the total of $109,713. Equipment for a mini skid steer and a skid steer at the attachments. The attachments are $19,555. The skid steer itself is $81,505. Spokane Street reconstruction project is in the streets budget, and that will be from the Spokane Street Bridge to almost the on-ramp going up Spokane Street. That project is estimated to be $1,307,768. And also, there is a request for the $6 million transfer from general fund into the facilities reserve fund. All of these funds, I wanted to note, were coming from the general fund, and the total for the amount is $7,890,214. That's all I have.
I forgot to have you give your name and title at the beginning.
All right, thank you. I'm Jason Faulkner. I'm the finance director.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just for clarity, all this stuff was budgeted last year, but wasn't
Budgeted
spent, so
last
just
year.
rolled into this year.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay, are you good?
Okay.
Do we have anyone?
We have none.
So we have no one who wants to speak for, against, or neutral, so you won't need to be doing any rebuttal?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
All right.
so now,
Close it.
Close it.
oh, now I can close the hearing. Okay. Any discussion?
I would move to approve the fiscal year 2023 budget amendment number 2.
Second.
Borders,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Okay, we're good. Okay, unfinished business, returning ordinances and resolutions. We have Spokane Street Rehabilitation Authorization for Construction Phase Services with Welch Comer.
Council?
Oh, you need to give your name.
Jackson Fleshman, Project Manager, City of Post Falls.
Thank you, Jackson.
And good evening. Okay. So to start with a quick preface to this. In this presentation, there's actually two agreements, both of which were in the council memo. One is for the construction phase services agreement with Welch. The other is the crossing surface installation agreement for BNSF. First half of the presentation will cover Welch-Comer's agreement. The second half will be BNSF, with a break in the middle for questions if there are any. Oh, there it goes. So, quick purpose of the Welch-Comer agreement is to gain authorization for bid phase services as well as construction phase services. Map isn't great. I thought it'd be a little better there, but top right of the screen, there's that tiny little blue dot. It's actually council chambers. So as Jason actually said, the project is going to be from the eastbound I-90 on and off ramp down to Spokane Street Bridge. And timeline, just to review a little bit again, council approved engineering and design services with Welch-Comer February of last year. Plans and specs for the project are currently being finalized, and with approval, we anticipate going out to bid in early April. A couple pictures of Spokane Street in its current state. It has seen better days.
Yep.
Quick project review. So again, removal and replacement of all the asphalt from the I-90 on-off ramp to Spokane Street Bridge. Along with this project, there are also some minor water system improvements, as well as a couple manhole lid replacements, some conduit installation, and some PED ramp upgrades. So it's not just asphalt replacement. And then also there's the BNSF railroad crossing improvements that I'll talk about in the second half of this presentation. A couple more pictures for you guys. Again, it has seen its better days. So down to the details here. Left-hand column of that table there is the services that Welch-Comer has provided and will hopefully provide. The first three have already been approved. That's the design phase, railroad coordination, and Amendment 1. Design phase and railroad coordination were approved last February by council, and the dollar values are there on the right. Amendment 1 was approved by our Public Works Director. It was a total of $4,000, which is important to note that that $4,000 came from the original contingency for the design phase and railroad coordination. So that was already approved by council. And that $4,000 got us some additional stuff because originally it was just going to be a remove and replace the asphalt, and that additional money got us some design for the manhole lid replacements and the water line upgrades and conduit, stuff like that. So Amendment 2 and Amendment 2 contingency is what we're actually seeking approval for here tonight. That's a total of $105,600. That 158 number down at the bottom will just be the total contract price when we're all said and done. And this will be funded through the Spokane Street reconstruction budget, as Jason said. Questions?
Kind of an ignorant question, but that whole Spokane Street was constructed, what, about 10 years ago, right?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Come on, you just got here like 6 months ago.
I know, yeah.
I think even longer ago than that.
I know it looks like it's been at least that long.
I think it's longer.
Yeah.
Rob, do you know, or Bill?
Off the top of your head?
2014, we put in the new curb gutter sidewalk.
Okay.
The asphalt's much older than that.
So the
Yeah.
answer was 2014 for the people watching at home.
Yeah.
2014 was curb gutter and sidewalk, asphalt's older than that.
Yeah.
Is this pretty typical for a lifespan of a street with this kind of traffic? Are we gonna be back here again in 10, 12 years to do this again? Or just kind of curious what the expectations are gonna be?
I think I just heard a 20 from Rob over there.
Oh, so
but
20 is for the asphalt? Okay.
yeah,
So
with
20 I know is about typical lifespan, so
Yeah,
you.
especially with such a well-traveled road.
that's all I got.
Anybody else?
Are we moving the stamped concrete as well?
The what concrete?
The stamped concrete sidewalks?
So just the, I believe
the
there's
crosswalks.
Here at Spokane and Fourth.
Yeah,
Oh, there are several.
yeah.
if it's within the asphalt, yes. Sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. Are you referring to the PED ramps or within the asphalt?
Within the asphalt.
Yes, yeah, everything's being replaced.
Are we replacing it with more stamped concrete, or is it all gonna be asphalt all the way through?
I'm not sure. Andrew, would you like to?
Yeah, thanks. Save me up here, please.
Yeah, Andrew Arbini, Projects Division Manager. So maybe I can answer that question. I know this came up during design too. We looked at, I believe what you're describing are the pedestrian crossings in
Right.
concrete. They're stained at each intersection. We are not replacing those, so we will remove the asphalt up to each location and then pave back. So we're retaining the concrete as it is. After some field inspection, that was determined best just to leave those in place as is. They were in decent enough condition.
Thank you.
Did that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yes.
And we missed you, Andrew, so it was nice for you to be able to come up.
He'll be back.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, I apologize for the confusion there.
So now, both of these are A and B.
Yes, yes, that is correct. Yes, because the railroad agreement is going to be a part of this project.
So Warren, for public comment, do we need to call for public comment for A now?
No, this is,
This
Yes,
is a
isn't.
hearing.
this is just.
This
unfinished
is-
business.
Sorry.
Motion for each.
So
I'm an
I
idiot.
think you have a presentation for the second half of
Comes
this,
from
right?
up
Yes, it just.
That was, I think that's what I was getting at. Thank you.
Is there any other questions regarding the Welch-Comer
It
agreement?
doesn't appear so.
Awesome, thank you.
We're done.
Okay,
Do the motions
second,
and
second
then-
part of the presentation, trying to grab some approval for the BNSF crossing agreement. And it is anticipated that this work will be done during the Spokane Street project. Another map for you guys. Again, we're council chambers in the top right, where that blue dot is, and railroad crossing just a couple streets down. Couple more pictures for you. That's current condition of the railroad crossing. It is not up to current standards. And project review, kind of a nice olive branch that we've established with BNSF, or a partnership here. So BNSF is going to provide all the labor, all the services required to complete the crossing. The city is only responsible for half of the estimated construction costs from BNSF, whereas in the past, we've actually had to cover the full thing. So this is a nice partnership that we're establishing with the railroads.
Excellent negotiation. Good
Oh.
job.
I can't take credit for that one, but thank you. I appreciate that. Here's some concrete planking examples just for anyone at home looking. I'm sure everyone here has seen it at some point, but this is roughly what it'll look like once they are complete. And down to the numbers, the project subtotal, the estimate from BNSF was approximately $100,000. So the city's half of that would be $50,183. We are requesting a 10% contingency. There's some specific contract language within BNSF's agreement when we are working within, I want to say it's 25 feet of the center line, where we're required to have some flagging services and some things like that. So that's what those funds would be used for. So we are requesting a total of $55,201.30. And this is funded through that same budget code, the Spokane Street reconstruction budget. Any questions on that one?
Questions? You're doing great.
I'm trying my best. Thank you very much.
And so,
I would move to approve the Spokane Street Rehabilitation Authorization for Construction Phase Services with Welch Comer.
Second.
Malloy,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Thorson,
aye.
I would further move to approve the Spokane Street Rehabilitation BNSF Crossing Surface Installation Agreement.
Second.
Walker,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Okay. Is that all you need?
That's it. Thank you, council.
Anything else? I have the gavel. Take advantage. Okay, so the next is the WRF Outfall Upgrade Project Closeout and Contingency with McMillen.
It's finally over.
Yeah.
Good evening, Council President and members of the council. Andrew Arbini, Projects Division Manager. Yes, we are here to announce the completion of the Outfall project. Presentation this evening is a follow-up from last meeting. So if you recall, last meeting, I was here requesting additional budget to close out the project with JUB side of the contract for the additional time that took to complete the construction. So the presentation this evening is regarding our contract with the general contractor, McMillen, and a proposal to close out the project. So I'll go through some slides. Some of this information, the base information is familiar, so I'll quickly go through a recap and then talk specifics as it pertains to the city's contract with McMillen. So a little background on the delivery method we selected. This is a CMGC contract, and the key difference in this is that the guaranteed maximum price for the project has a built-in construction contingency. The original GMP is for the $3,075,000. Included in that cost is the $527,600 that was allowed within McMillen's discretion to use for risks that were identified during design. So that's really a key difference with the CMGC structure, is that in order to reach that guaranteed maximum price, they have some discretion in how they utilize that construction contingency. So that's important, as this will come up later. So last September, if you recall, I was here presenting a change order number 4, with McMillen to address failing pressure tests in a section of pipe. That section is highlighted in yellow. And following some discussions, McMillen came to us with a proposal to address the failing pressure tests as a remedy. So in change order 4, that addressed installing what they call a CIPP, cured in place plastic pipe, inside the existing pipeline. It also reduced the guaranteed maximum price by $57,600. So that number was derived from a percentage of liquidated damages that would have applied for McMillen to come in and install that CIPP. It was about 2 months worth of time, and we agreed to, in order to offset the costs that the city had, along with our design consultant, we agreed to reduce that GMP by that amount. It also reset the completion dates. So in that change order that was authorized by council, that had a completion with the CIPP liner by the end of October. It also exhausted the remaining construction contingency. So that was around $212,000 to install the CIPP. That was about the remaining balance of the contingency, which is within McMillen's authorization to utilize. So that was executed as part of change order 4. Unfortunately, the CIPP was unsuccessful, and ultimately the contractor elected to replace the pipe completely, install a brand new pipeline. So following that, we received a successful pressure test, and the project was complete February 2nd, substantially complete. So it was about 3 months past the October date that was identified in change order 4. So when we're talking project closeout, in the contract, a typical tool to remedy or offset any financial harm to the city is liquidated damages. There's a specified amount per day in this contract, I believe $1,200 a day, that would stipulate for the additional time it took to complete the project. Overall, it was about over a year late in delivery. However, through change order 4 and this current proposal, there's an offset for the actual additional cost that it took in building the project. So I highlighted this down below, that if we were to take the strict interpretation of the contract, liquidated damages, and apply that, we would be looking at liquidated damages up to $500,000. The important subtext to this is that is subject to exceptions and disagreements. I think that would be a challenging sell. So when looking at the big picture, if it was a maximum of $500,000, we are looking at what is our financial harm to the city, and that's the intent of the liquidated damages. So we received a proposal from McMillen, and that proposal includes a credit of that construction contingency of $136,788.88. In reviewing with city staff and legal, that offsets the additional costs incurred by the city. And it also accounts for the additional costs that JUB incurred, providing the construction management services for the additional time needed. Second item of note, and I wanted to clarify because it's a little less clear in the letter, the city will receive credit for some bid items. Example, we had some material quantities that we came under the estimated quantity. So the difference between what we actually utilized and what was in the bid amount, the city would receive a credit for that. We will receive that credit regardless of this proposal. But all in all, taking into account credits, all credits, we would be looking at a final GMP of about 2.7 million. So that's significantly less than the original GMP contract. That was the $3,075,000. So next steps. So the staff's recommendation is that we move forward with a negotiated change order, negotiating the specifics of this proposal with McMillen. The Public Works Director, Mr. Beecham, would have the authority to sign that. And then included in that change order, we would identify the final completion date as we're working through final site items, restoration, project closeout. But that would be anticipated to occur in the next few months. So next steps recommendation tonight is there's not a formal document, but it's direction to staff or confirming the direction that staff would move forward with a negotiated change order for that credit. So with that, I will open it to any questions.
So long story short, this makes the city whole.
Yeah.
We're not going out to make profit with liquidated damages. We're just trying to make sure that everything that we expended, we get back.
Correct. The contractor and the city both have the same goal in finalizing the project and making each party as whole and fair as possible. And this appears to strike that balance.
Including JUB, including what the additional cost was for JUB.
Correct. So the previous contract amendment at the previous council meeting, that addressed the additional costs with JUB. So this proposal tonight would account for the additional money that we budgeted towards JUB. If I'm being clear on that.
You are. Any other questions?
Nope.
And so what do we need to do? Do we need to vote on this or just say,
I think a vote would be appropriate.
because,
How do I construct this motion? Because we're
So-
authorizing them to negotiate this proposal, but it's not an actual thing yet, right?
So let me see if I can help you out.
we need help.
Maybe a motion to approve staff's recommended approach to resolving the WRF outfall project upgrade as outlined in the staff report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so any questions? And this is now that we have a second, this is where I can clarify that with this approval comes the authority for John Beecham to sign the contract.
Correct. The contract change order.
Okay,
So long as it's matches the criteria.
exactly. As long as you just don't make anything up. Okay. Don't change anything. Okay, Shannon, the ball's in your court.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Okay, we're moving right along. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank
You
you.
look happy. And we don't have any new business,
We do not.
but we have citizens' issues. So if there's any citizens that would love to address the council on pretty much anything.
That's not on the agenda.
That's not on the
It's
agenda.
not on the agenda. And it's not personnel related.
Correct.
Happy thoughts. Come on up and give happy thoughts. Anybody? Okay. Administrative and staff reports?
We have none tonight. I always want to say none tonight, sir, but that doesn't work.
That's okay.
It's 2023.
Ma'am.
If you call me sir, I'll just use the gavel again, shall we? Mayor and council comments. I already congratulated the mayor on Citizen of the Year. I would like to say I won't do the gavel and I won't it would definitely be unofficial sitting here in this position, but it is my sister Janice Scharf's birthday today. And so until the close of the meeting, I'm going to declare unofficially that it is Janice Scharf Day in Post Falls. So there you go. Council, anybody?
Happy St. Patrick's Day coming up.
Just wanted to reiterate what we mentioned last council meeting with the upcoming school levy.
Oh, yeah.
Early voting closes Friday with the voting day on Tuesday, the 14th. So please vote.
That is coming up. And we need an executive session.
We do.
I would move to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206, number 1A, to consider hiring a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent in an elective office or deliberations about staffing needs in general, and that the session will last no longer than about 10 minutes.
And no decisions shall be made.
No decisions. We're not making
Second.
any. Yeah.
Shove,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Okay, now do I do this?
Enter an executive.
Sure,
Done?
go for it.
Sure.
You got the chance, go for it.
Well, am I supposed to? Are we closing the meeting out now to go into executive session?
Well, we close to executive session, but we come back in session.
Oh, okay. Okay, so everybody stay tuned. I will be back with the gavel in 10 minutes.
really sure why I sat down.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah,
I did
it was.
a good one on
That
that
one
one.
I
It's like when you get that
Yeah.
perfect high five.
I know, that